Good afternoon, viewers. Welcome to a special broadcast on the All Progressive Congress Special National Convention here in Abuja, where a presidential candidate for the party will be elected anytime from now. And of course, in the studio with me for this special broadcast is Silas Ezebu.
Welcome.
Welcome to special broadcast on the APC presidential primary. And of course, leadership politics editor Chibuzo Ikebe.
Thank you.
My name is Body Gbadibo. Now, from now, we shall be giving you updates on the go as to what is happening there at the Eagle Square venue of the convention, and as well also get fresh perspective from our in-house analysts here on the issue at hand. Let me start with Silat. They call today Super Tuesday. Is the today is the day. After the
Yeah.
postponements,
And,
all the back and forth, no escape. Today there must be
yes,
presidential. So, give me your own view of this convention where a presidential candidate of the APC will be elected. Give me your own view about the whole thing.
In fact, I'll use the word dicey. The situation is very dicey. A lot of frustrating, a lot of meetings and meetings, midnight meetings, midday meetings, morning meetings, from this lodge to that lodge, from presidency to some governor lodge. It has been like that in the last 24 hours, 48 hours. So, um, it's dicey because for now, even the delegates are confused. They don't know whether they are still going to vote actively to choose a person, or whether they're going to just approve
Affirmation, whether we have a
the
consensus
affirmation,
or not.
So everything is hanging in the balance. Whether they're going for full election to choose, according to what the parents spoke today, or whether they will say the choice made for them to approve. So that's why I said the thing dicey heading in the few hours to this convention. But for what I have heard, that's still driving towards getting a consensus. Whether it will work or not, nobody can be sure for now. But the situation is dicey and it's life tension.
Very, very dicey, according to Silas. Is now politics editor Chibuzo UKB. Is it also dicey from your own end?
Well, there's a lot of um,
Or is it clear? Is a two horse race? Tinubu, Oshibaju, or three horse race?
as it stands now, it comes down to the wire.
Hmm.
It might be, of course, if what has been, muted out there is anything to go by about the ACN wing getting the ticket, then it's obviously going to be Tinubu Shibaju affair. Uh, but outside that, if that does not play out, then the spectrum becomes wider. But as we speak, the notion of a consensus arrangement is still on the table, because they want to see how best they can ensure that this whole process goes with less rancor, because they're also mindful of the bigger election. So containing whatever post-primary crisis that may emerge is also as prominent on their minds as the selection process. So it's very, very, and I agree, a dicey situation at this point. But it is also important that the party gives a clear signal as to where they want to go, so that it doesn't create conflicting signal among the delegates at this point.
All right, Chibuzo. Now let me come back to Silas. Silas, let's look at the issues that will shape this APC Special National Convention. Before now, or even as we speak, there is this general notion that power should naturally, go back to the south. But now APC is actually working towards that to shift power to the south. But then this south we're talking about, we have the southwest, the south, and the southeast. And it seems the people we are talking about, the front runners, we only have them from the south and the southwest. The southeast is nowhere to be found. What other issues do you think we actually shape this convention?
Yeah, like I said before, even by yesterday, um, the list that came out was five, we put it down to five. And, in that list, we had the Southeast candidate there,
Yes,
David
Dave
Umahi.
Umahi. the Ebonyi State Governor.
Yes. But then, carrying on that is come down to
Three.
Chibos Namiki. Which has been largely and uh, largely proclaimed that claim his Igbo-ness, and then that Mechi being in that place is like using one. Maybe party will look at it as they can use one stone to kill two birds. They get Amechi, who's a noble person from south, and see whether the Igbo people will accept him if he's on the ballot, because um, that's also there. But when I talk about the ACN group that you mentioned before, everybody know that Tinubu is the ACN, and so and the Shivajo is also there, but Tinubu has the biggest but everything about this ACN. The only thing I look at is that it's possible that why the race is still so high that it appears that the party is not too comfortable with having Tinubu in the parliament, and they don't know how to tell them to take away because he has said he was not ready to accept anything.
And he has paid his
Yes.
dues.
In fact, from the pillars that we got through the panel that screened them, all the other aspirants agreed to a consensus if the party should come to one. Apart from Tinubu, who said it's only if you are the consensus candidate, then otherwise let us go for the polls. And he feels that because he has he will be favored better using his political network and the capital to win election. So all these things are in play. You know, um, um, the party going south is important for the party because if PDP has already gone north, and there is already a loud call from certain governors, certain leaders that after Buhari, it is should go to the south. Then yesterday, northern governors
Yes.
also joined in that call. So this overwhelming call for the party to go to the south, you know, has you know pigeonholed the party more or less to pick a candidate from the south, and that is what has already made Ahmed Awa's, I don't know whether it was a coup they tried to carry out yesterday to force Ahmed Awa on the party when the party chairman said Ahmed Awa, the Senate president, had become the consensus candidate. You know, all that in place yesterday, but the governors and the have come out to say no, the power is still going. And in this election in the country, in this election, the governors call the shots. So if the governors prime their delegates to choose from the south, that power is going to the south. Now, um, the south was always going to stand on one leg when it comes to APC. They are like later day converts to APC. Mine was um, a PDP chieftain, was party chairman. His family was party leaders in the state and national level. He became governor for 8 years. But he felt that PDP wasn't going to, had not given Southeast a special status and went to APC. Now he was living a place where he was conversant with, where he had built a lot of political capital to go to another platform where some people had already stayed the ground, watered it, manured it, planted, allowed it to grow. It's not likely that those people will just create that place for you. Yeah, even if they're blood brothers, it is hard for people like him who have worked APC from grass to this level to just get that space for
No,
for Mahir and the later Igbo no, Southeast converts to APC. But in the past, only those who have come that went to APC. It's only now that you see many of them going, okay, in the last 8 years and go. So, they are later day converts, and it's not likely that with the kind of ambition that Tinubu has, the blinding ambition, it's not likely the two will yield up that is platform eh, to the Southeast person. In fact, from what I learned, he didn't even bother to go and compare in Southeast at all. That is as much as it.
Imagine.
So if you have that kind of sense about the Southeast, how they feel to allow the Southeast person to take that role. So Tinubu is insistent. I think the party want to go on that way. They are afraid that this there's a bull in the China shop, and if they don't carefully manage it,
Everything will.
it could backfire on the party.
All
So they are
right.
being careful how they're playing it.
Let me come to Chibuzo. Okay, Chibuzo, talking about issues that will shape the convention. So I want you to actually say something about the preparedness of the party to actually conduct this special convention. Do you think they're actually ready to do this, or they are just being forced to fulfill all righteousness to do it? Maybe initially they wanted to just revolt everybody to accept the consensus, and they organize the forum for affirmation, and everybody will move forward. So, do you think the level of their preparedness is anything to write home about, or it's just a fire brigade approach?
Well, I think they were always the party was always going to do it
The
at the
convention,
convention.
of course.
I think that's basic. It's fundamental. Um, However, it's quite obvious that left for the president would want a situation where he will point to a particular person and everybody will go in that direction. Don't forget, he said he has the presidential the preferred candidate, but I was not going to tell the person's give the name out for the person's interest. So obviously, he would have wanted to play the party chairman game all over again, but obviously you have some aspirants there, particularly Tinubu, who has insisted that this has to be a contest and not just an it's anointment now.
Announcements,
You
yeah.
know, so that has really created some upsets in the whole system. Because for a consensus thing to happen in the way they want it, everybody must append to it.
Yeah, according
So
to
if
the
they don't
new
exactly, so
electoral act.
if that's not going to happen, definitely has to go through the wire. But as for the party, it was quite interesting to hear the party chairman, make that comment about having an Ahmed Lawan consensus candidate proposal, because that also changed the whole dynamics as of yesterday and heightened this notion of okay, it does appear as if there's a secret arrangement which other party stakeholders are not aware of, and we could all see the back and forth that played out to the build up of what happened as of this morning, where they now had to narrow it down to you know a few people. So it's still early days yet, in the sense that you might not. The party seems to be coming up with fresh intrigue. A new thing could just pop up that will change the whole dynamics. But as it stands now, we can only keep our fingers crossed and hope that one funny thing does not just play up and turn the whole thing upside down.
All right, I think let me get a perspective from an outsider, Remy Adebayo. Remy Adebayo is a journalist and editor with Abuja City Journal. Good morning, Abi. Good afternoon, Mr. Adebayo. All right, Mr. Adebayo is not online. So let me come to Silas. Now, let's look at other issues. Now, the numbers of delegates and governors of the APC who are also key stakeholders in this contest. And let's look at who they will be supporting. Now we have over 2,000 delegates, 2,340 delegates
Yeah.
will be voting. And I learned 3 delegates each we are elected from each of the 774 local governments across the country. So if you are to go by this geography, the distribution, who do you think we carry the
If you're looking at the geography and trying to get an idea of who carries it, it might be you'll be holding the whole thing to an ethnic kind of a sectional, a regional, you know. And from the convention that happened with PDP, you could see that people voted across regional basis.
exactly?
So So you cannot really just say that because the Northeast has more delegates, that people from Northeast will vote more or Northwest. And okay. So I believe that the those who are going to vote, they're looking at some key things. They have in mind that they have an article already standing, you know, at the ballot waiting for them to finish. So they're reminded of the person that can match article and get them victory. Because from the electoral act, electoral act and the the technology that has come into INEC, the electronic voting and all that, it's not likely, people will have more confidence that the votes will count and that they won't be manipulated like had in the past. So it means that possibly the whatever the electorate vote on that day is what will come out. Now they'll be mindful of that and then we're looking for a candidate that can stand up to national
So your
acceptance.
estimation,
So they will
who is
careful,
that person?
they don't need, they won't like to put somebody there that they're not sure that can win the election. And that will play in their mind as they're going to vote. It's not me that will tell them who is going to win the election for them. I'm not a delegate.
The primary election.
I'm not an APC member. I'm just a journalist looking at it, but in their mind, they don't want to lose this power after just 6 years. After people stay 6 years, 60 years, I was preparing to stay for 60 years, and they ran into
Produce 3 presidents. So
no.
they may not
And
want to
now
produce one.
they have tasted this power for 8 years and seen how sweet it tastes. I don't think they want to yield it by taking a chance on somebody that will not be able to win them. There. So they're going to look for a person that will carry. So they're looking at not just this primary. They should look at not just this primary. They should look at if they are made from this primary, the president are going to give Nigerians. Is it going to be a figure that has national acceptance? Is it going to be somebody seen as a as a regional champion, which other regions will be, may not accept? So those things will play in their mind. And look at the candidates that are there. We'll just say Amechi this and that. The other people are still in the race. We've not seen them, apart from Kenneth Kenamani, former Senate president,
Yeah,
that
as
pulled out
confirmed.
and gave his reasons that the zoning was not zoned to the southeast where it should be. Okay. Others are still in the game. None of them has, apart from Badal,
But for the record, I think it should be stated that nobody has done anything officially.
Exactly.
no.
Northern governors
In their
elected
own.
on the APC platform,
So they
their
prefer,
decision,
yes,
not their party
Not the
decision,
party.
not the
not
party,
even the president.
not the president.
So that should be clear.
That will be clear, yes.
Absolutely.
I'm just saying that the governors also control the delegates.
Exactly.
You know how the competitions work with the delegate election. Governors have a lot to say about how the delegates should vote because they also took part, decided which delegates were made from their states. If you are not on the good side of the governor will not allow you to make as a delegate.
Exactly.
So they are also loyal to the governors. You know. So that's why I'm saying that if the governors play that role of city the party should go to south, then like, go to south, go to south. But Allah is still the race. The governor of Kogi State, I think he should be the one of the youngest in the race. He's still from reports we got, he's saying he doesn't want to agree. In fact, even LFI yesterday, mentioned it that the only person among them who, seated, went against the northern governors was Yabelo, who's a candidate in the race. He wants to go ahead and he is very, very confident. I listened to an interview that he granted to a radio TV station, and he said he had almost was short of 50% of the delegates from the work he has done and from the manifesto that these people have put into this and they were not going to step aside. So he's also in the game. Whatever happens, we are going to see him on that. And today he also said he has gone to meet with the president to clear the air that he was going to contest the election. So and he has the right to do that. So all these people are still in the game. Okay. So he's going to go down to where I will said that um I'm looking at it that between Tinubu and Shubajo, one of them will emerge. And one of them that that has more of a national acceptance.
All right, Chibuzo, for want of time now, let me start with you. three top aspirants that have been shortlisted today: Shivaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Vice President Yemi Osinbajo and former Minister of Transportation Rotimi Amechi. So let me start with the first one. Let me take the Vice President. Why should the Vice President succeed his boss, President Muhammadu Buhari? Or why should the Vice President, be given the APC presidential ticket in the 2023 general elections?
Shibaja has so many things going for him. Yes, okay, let me start with the things people think he does not have going for him. First, they assume or they think that he has no political structure. He's never been, a hard, let me use the expression hardcore politician in the sense that um, he was always seen as a, an intellectual, more than a politician. And so, of course, those are some of the things they'll bring um, to portray him as somebody who does not have what it takes to. And then they'll question, oh, how much of a mixer, political mixer, is he? You know, considering that he'll be going against an article, for instance, who has over 30 years experience wanting to be president. But again, when you become vice president, there's a mileage it gives you. It gives you an opportunity to crisscross this country
Mhm.
and interact at a very deep level. And when you have the privilege of being entrusted with certain responsibility, or have a president that entrusts you with certain sensitive, assignments, it gives you an opportunity to really understand the dynamic workings of a country like Nigeria. Oshibajo is also a very deep, conscientious person. By the way he talks, he shows a lot of empathy, and he's able to connect at some level when he communicates. And I think these are the kind of things that might go for him. He's what they consider as not being a plus for him, which is he's not being a hardcore politician, might also be a plus for him. Yes. Because he'll be able to see things from a different level, as to the core politician who always sees things along lines of votes. You'll be able to see things at a much more um, um, patriotic level. You'll be able to see that, okay, politics, yes, but I need to get this job done. And we saw that in the way he handled the DSS issue and the Daura, Lawan Daura issue. The promptness with which he acted and the way he was able to douse tension at the time he did. But because if he was a politician, he would have wanted to navigate it in such a way that, but he was able to take an action that was able to,
To show
send a clear
direction.
signal
Yes.
that, okay, there's politics on one end and there's a job that has to be done. So these are things that I think will go. And he also has age. He also has age on his side. He also has a good health record because these are things that in the past, since Yaradua has become a major issue in Nigeria. We saw the health issue with Yaradua, and we saw where it led us to. We saw the health issue too with Buhari, and we saw how that affected the whole system. So these are things Ushibato, and he has related also with the governors. He has a good rapport with the governors, and you also know how influential the governors can be. They are the field marshals in that sense. So he's in that age bracket with them, and they can relate with him at that level. So these are at least a couple of things that might work for him going into this convention.
All right. Let me listen to Silas too about Oshibajo. I think, does it deserve to fly the APC?
I think so.
Okay.
Absolutely so. In fact,
So what about whether it has what it takes
I think so.
uh,
This guy is a professor.
to win? Okay. Because I wanted to remind you that President Muhammadu Buhari in 2015, he was a politician because he had contested
That's contested.
twice. So by that period, he has learned the ropes.
Yeah, that's no, yes, and his campaign almost 4 times before he came.
Exactly. So let's look at
And,
APC national.
you look at if you look at the people who contested, they're also coming to the party to run for president for the first time too. Amici is coming for the first time.
Exactly.
Tinubu is coming for the first time.
Exactly.
He must have said, I have a long time ambition. Those who have long time ambition, we knew them. Atiku has been going there for 30 years. Hmm? Culture has been contested 2003. When he started his action alliance and wanted to contest against Buhari. in Lagos Square a lot. So he too has been contesting. Even last election, even the other 2015 election, he contested. So these people, you know them that have been contesting, frequent elections since that time. Tinubu is just coming to run for president for the first time. But because he has been in APC, not in the party, I think he has been there looking for the job for a long time. But the truth is that this first time he's pitching for president. He tried to be vice president last time, but the issue of not losing music ticket is not for him. And there's a bad account of how she went official made it to the ticket. But it was even the stories that came out that it was not even really Tinubu that kind of supported him to be there. He wanted somebody else. So that's it. So has um he has as much even more quality and presence to be president than the people that join again.
All right, you're talking about Vice President Yemi Oshibajo. Before we continue with the other two aspirants, let's also listen to an outsider. We're being joined by Remy Adebayo. Remy Adebayo is the editor, Abuja City Journal. Good morning, Mr. Abi. Good afternoon, Mr. Adebayo. And thank you for joining us on this special broadcast. All right, it's not there again. Now, let me start with you, Tinubu. Ashwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. You said something about him earlier. He has paid his dues. He helped to build the opposition. Now his party is in government. Now he said he's tired of supporting people. He wants to be supported to become the president. That it is now his turn to become Nigeria's president. Is that enough to lead Nigeria at this critical moment of our lives?
I think that he thinks it's enough. Okay, there's a sense of attachment to it. We had this kind of story with Wike,
Before you go further, Remy has just joined us. We've been joined by Remy Adebayo. Abi, good afternoon, Mr. Adebayo. Thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon, and it's a pleasure to be here again.
All right, I can see you in the comfort of your office. I thought you are at the Eagle Square monitoring things as an observer.
Of course, we have colleagues that are already there from Abuja City Journal that are giving us reports from the place. We have
I want you to take your device to a landscape direction.
I didn't get that.
I want you to turn your device to a landscape position. Landscape.
Okay.
So while I ask you your view about the ongoing APC National Convention here in Abuja. Landscape.
Sorry.
All right. So go ahead. What is your view about the APC? Good. So what is your view about the APC's ongoing APC National Convention here in Abuja?
Well, thank you very much, Bode. The convention that is going on is the democratic exercise for the ruling party in Nigeria, the party that is the governing party. Of course, we know that the members or aspirants on the platform of the party are today doing everything within themselves to choose among them will be best fit to contend with other political parties in the 2023 general elections. The stakes are high for the APC, of course, being the ruling party, and you should expect that the intense consultation, lobbying, politics, and intrigues that are going on in the party would, of course, happen because we have a president of the ruling party for the first time in Nigeria. The party has a president in President Muhammadu Buhari, who has served the 2 terms, or is going to serve out his 2 terms by next year. And for the first time, the party is going to have a successor to President Muhammadu Buhari. So this transition program of the transition process is expected to be this intense, as we expect that, yes, who among the many eminently qualified aspirants within the party we want to be as the one that is most qualified to succeed the president. So that is what I believe is going on. Of course, you cannot deny the fact that a number of aspirants that are being paraded by the party are all, to me, to a large extent, they are very, very qualified. We have state governors, we have a sitting vice president, we have someone like the national leader of the APC who served Lagos State as governor for 2 terms. So these are we have a minister, someone like Right Honorable Rotimi, Chibuke Rotimi Amechi, who was 2-term governor of Rivers State and 2-term speaker of that particular state as well in the House of Assembly. So these are not pushovers. But when the states are here, of course, you know that the party would want to do everything that is possible to see who among them would be best fit to face a strong contenders like the PDP has shown up in the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. So that is what is going on. It's going to be a very intriguing exercise today. But I'm sure that by the time we are sleeping by 12 o'clock today, there should have been a winner among all of them.
All right, Mr. Adebayo, that was a wonderful overview of the convention. As a journalist, let me ask you, who would you want to carry the day at the end of the exercise?
Are you asking me who
to be the candidate of the party?
Who is likely going to be the candidate of the party?
Yeah, and the reason, your reasons. And your reasons. As a Nigerian, you are a Nigerian, as a journalist. So
you're asking me a very, very almost impossible question. And of course, you know that I'm not a delegate and I'm not a member of the All Progressive Congress. Whatever the interest and the sympathy or whatever perception that you have will be determined by this. But of course, from the report that you have seen today, we know that the governors of the All Progressive Congress, governors elected on the platform of the party, have been able to transmit to President Muhammadu Buhari names of 5 top contenders, or those that they felt that were that should be considered, to be candidate of the party. And in doing this, we have seen certain names that we are familiar with. So to me, I would sit down here and say A or B would be the candidate. Of course, you still know, like they always say, that an hour is very, very. It's like a year in politics. Anything can change within the next 1-2 hours, depending on the intrigues and the consultations that are going on. And I know that based on the body language of the president and what he has asked them to go and look for a formidable candidate for the party, I know there are still lobbying. I know there are still a lot of consultations going on. I listened to the governor of Imo State saying that, yes, they have not ruled out the issue of consensus among them, of course. And if at the end of the day they don't have a consensus, it means that all of them will still go back to the field. But from what I'm seeing, the support by the northern governors on the platform of the APC and the position of the southern president and the southern governors in demanding that power should actually go back to the south will determine and play a lot of role in how the result of today, a result will come out of at the end of this exercise. So I cannot specifically tell you here, Mr. Bode. We all know that there are names that have been pushed forward to be the top contenders. But in politics, as journalists, yes, we can have reports, we can have permutations, we can have speculations. But let us give it to the politicians to do what they think they should do. But personally, I think anything can still happen between now and the end of today.
All right, before anything happens, and before I allow you to go, the final question for you, Mr. Adebayo, since you are afraid to say your preferred, presidential aspirant, do you foresee implosion at the end of this exercise today or tomorrow morning? Do you foresee implosion within the ruling All Progressive Congress?
Well, I believe that explosions happen almost all the time, depending on what you call explosion. If explosion means that at the end of this exercise, we may have some. If it means that at the end of this exercise, we may have certain dissatisfied aspirants who feel cheated or who might feel cheated, that no, because of the way a candidate has emerged, or maybe they felt that they were not given fair chance, or they feel that there was an imposition, I can say that I foresee such happening. But the way it's going now, the president, who is the leader of the party, has thrown most of these responsibilities to the governors who have strong stakes in controlling their delegates. I can see that not just him, the president has met with the party leadership, the National Working Committee of the party, some other stakeholders to choose or to say, go among yourselves, let us prune down this number so that there wouldn't be any problem. And I want to believe that in doing this, they must have consulted with most of these names, even others that have not even willingly stepped down, to say, please, this is all about our party and the interest to retain power in 2023. Because of this, please help save this party, help us to have a fair chance during the election. Could you please help us to do this? So if they are willingly out of consultation and understanding saying that we are pulling down, there may not be any implosion, except when some aspirants feel that no, we are not given fair chance to exercise our franchise or to show our popularity, or when a candidate that is not acceptable to others eventually came up. But the way I'm looking at the process now, if others are being carried along, I do not believe that there could be an implosion. Of course, you know that not everybody may be happy at the end of the day. So if at the end of the day somebody loses out from a process that is not acceptable to him, or maybe you know how politics works. There could be some, of course, whether we like it or not, I foresee that there could be some camps changing. There will be some moving around here and there. Of course, some people will stay within the party to sabotage the chances of their own party. It happens all the time. We saw it in 2015. So we cannot leave all this out. But for an abstract explosion within the party because of the decision that may be made today, except these other aspirants are not carried around along, I don't think that APC can afford to do that. That is why the president has been providing leadership, and that is why he has to provide that leadership up to the last point. If at the end of the day they don't agree to a consensus, then I believe that the last place to settle the matter today should be at Eagle Square, where all the delegates will have the opportunity to choose among these aspirants who they feel should best represent their party in 2023.
All right. Many thanks to you, Mr. Remy Adebayo, editor, Abuja City Journal. Thank you for those invaluable contributions on the show. I appreciate
Thank you very
and
much.
the rest of your day. Thank you.
And
Now, we don't have time again. We have a couple of minutes. Now, let's look at what people are saying on the social media. There are complaints here and there. Journalists are being denied accreditation tags. In the case where they have been given, they have been denied access to the venue of the convention at Eagle Square. So I don't know, all this preparation and security, or overzealousness of security men.
That has been a fundamental issue with our conventions, and it was made. I've been a victim of that. Even when the PDP did theirs, even when the APC did their national convention to elect their national chairman, we also had this same problem. It's not just the party issue. I think it's a systemic problem. And I think this is something the political system should look more into, how they plan their programs and how they ensure that people have access, not particularly people who have critical roles to play, have access to the place when they ought to, and have easy access so that they can settle in and get, grinding. Because after going through all of that stress, trying to get access to the place, it affects one, your the stability of the reporter and trying to adjust to, because it's going to be a long haul. So when he has to go through that kind of stress, getting that trust into the place, to some extent it does happen. So these are things that political parties should look into, how they plan their programs and how they ensure that key people who ought to be there are given, easy access and comfortable.
Now, Silas, finally, the security people have issues with crowd control measures in big events like this. So who do you blame, the party or security agencies?
The party normally, informs the security agencies about the plan they have. It's up to the security agencies to sit down and map out the way to manage the crowd. They will have problem with managing people. security, crowds in Nigeria. Therefore, I feel that the cookie is sent to hard strong arm tactics, beating people, adults, kicking them, twin tigers. Okay, so you guys have reported how during the APC primary in the past, where that was used. So, and that's there. So both the party and the institution need to work together to give everybody who's supposed to play a role in this convention their space. It's about planning, it's about planning ahead. That's what it means. If they are not, if they're not, because you can't do this thing without journalists being there.
Exactly.
This is
You
their
need to
place.
report to the people.
Yeah, just to tell people what's happening. They are the biggest. The people are the biggest thing, and journalists are their eyes and their eyes and their ears in that place to tell what's happening. So the journalists have to be given a role, their space to work that place. They are the protesters of the room. And if they all this will come and go, journalists will remain to go to report what's happening.
And there's something quite interesting. The way they cordoned off the routes.
Yeah, leading to the venue of the convention.
It was quite stressful, and it begins to bring to question how we do our primaries. Perhaps we should revert to the way the US does that. You go to the states,
That's
and
right.
so that it
Without inconveniencing
frees up this-
anybody.
Yes, the whole of Abuja yesterday was almost a mess traffic-wise. They had to cordon off from long kilometers before from the venue, and it was quite needless. If you ask me, it was because the event had not even started, and people had to go. So you can imagine the impact that has on the economic life yesterday. The stress it cost a lot of people and all of that. So I think these are things the political parties should also review. If you have to go back to the system where primaries are held in states, and at the end of the day they do a collation, and it probably helps to.
So
to
I
save
don't
us
know
a
when we
lot of
will
this.
embrace such innovation yet, even as the biggest country on the African continent. That's what we have for now on the Inside APC Special Convention. We'll go on a break. We'll be back in 2 hours. Stay tuned and be with us. Many thanks to Silas, who has been with us from the hour 3, and of course, my friend and politics editor, Chibuzo Okebe. We'll be back. The studio will be back in 2 hours. So we hope you join us. Bye for now.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.